Hi, this is Kasian, and it's time for our weekly conference call at Vectorspace AI. First, we'll start with what's happening around the world. Everyone is looking for the second shoe to drop, whether it's the elections, the pandemic, or global unemployment. On the election side, we win either way because we're hedged 6 ways to Sunday. On the pandemic side, Britain, France, and Germany are under lockdown, and more countries are included. On the unemployment side, global unemployment continues to be on the rise, and part of that is the result of lockdowns. The bull market, here's a headline: the bull market will resume after the election with a 50% long-term upside, says JP Morgan. And that's a little contradictory compared to what's happening with unemployment around the world, and especially related to this next headline. The US lost over 60 million jobs. Now robots, tech, and artificial intelligence will take millions more. That's not as dire as one might think. We're going to talk a bit more about that in the strategy section. On the industry side, our industry, data sets, natural language processing, natural language understanding, AI, ML. Mark Cuban, the world's first trillionaire, or according to Mark Cuban, the world's first trillionaire is learning one skill and discovering how to use it now in unimaginable ways. That's a headline from Inc. magazine, and there's another one from Wall Street Journal. So things are shaping up here to enable a lot of people to engage in a lot of speculation related to the AI industry and the data industry for that matter. The speculation, some of it's true, and some of it we can cut right through and get down to the reality of it. We will do that over the course of a few more conference calls. We're thinking of establishing a section related to speculation in the artificial intelligence and ML industry and dispelling some of the myths and talking about some of the real practical applications. On the crypto side, crypto hedge funds are making money. We see a consolidation of exchanges happening for a variety of reasons, regulatory and otherwise. And BTC has hit 14K this week. Looks like a new base is being established, maybe around 12 or 13K. And ETH is holding steady around 380. On the internal corp side, we have been engaged with mostly calls this week. Those take up quite a bit of time, and they do take time away from engineering and product development and a few other things, as we have to engage with technical leads on the customer side. We have also had a number of talks with legal departments related to data sets and customers. In particular, Neudata. They have a couple of law firms that we've been talking with, and the primary concern is not something we have to worry about, but it is something some other dataset providers have to worry about, and that is where their data has come from, or data provenance. It's a big issue, and personalization or extracting personalized information from data sets is another large issue, but the largest would be related to insider trading. And insider trading happens, it can happen in all kinds of ways, but when it comes to data, if you're using data that other people do not have and it's non-public, then you run the risk of being cited for insider trading. So we steer clear from that. We have no concerns again in that area, and we need to make sure that we have a level of comfort that we provide to data vendors and to customers that is just leaps and bounds ahead of our competitors to be. We have more data engineers that we are interviewing right now. That's in process. On engineering, product, and operations, we've got a new engineering and product roadmap that we're working on. This is an internal roadmap, and this will outline a new direction for the company in terms of how we refine our products for onboarding customers. We've been learning a number of things, and we'll go over a few of those things in our customers, partners, and collaborators section related to onboarding. So I'll just continue here with engineering and product. We're also coming up with a list of aging research institutions: the Buck Institute, Salk, Calico, Human Longevity, etc., and David Sinclair's lab, and a few others. We're going to begin. This connects to our precision medicine efforts and precision medicine datasets, and Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. We're also working out that special version of the DTK, the Dataset Toolkit. We're naming it, labeling it version 2.1 flag Quant. And we are also investigating, or at least conducting, an analysis of what it would be like to roll out music and movie recommendation systems based on our data sets. We mentioned last week we'd touch on this week, and this relates to not only the Spotify million song playlists that have million playlists that have been out, that data set, that's an unstructured raw piece of data basically. It needs to be converted into a few different types of data sets to engage in music recommendation. We We provided Spotify with music recommendation early on, and music recommendation strategy and technology when they first met with us. And we are thinking about doing the same for a few other companies, and this directly to what we provide in data sets. And this is the ability to form a cluster or a basket or a group of related objects. They could be pieces of music, or the objects could be movies. Today, they're stocks and crypto and drug compounds. We also have, as I touched on, a precision medicine data set effort. We have talked about this previously. We have gotten outside interest from another pharma company. So that's why this is coming to the fore. We don't know how much effort we're going to put into this for this company. Keep everybody up to another iron in the fire. On the customers, partners, and collaborators side, we have delivered to CERN. Their comment was that it looks good and they're ready for the next steps. On the cloud quant side, we have a meeting with them tomorrow. Again, they are the partner that has 400,000 traders, traditional market traders, that we intend to onboard to the XV. Neudata is ready for us to deliver a draft PR, and they're going to get this approved through their legal and PR departments. It's likely to be approved. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. This sheds positive light on our entire arrangement and on both companies. And of course, we've got all other revenue sharing data set distribution points on the ready. And those would include the customers and partners and collaborators we have already listed in the past. On the sales and marketing side, we are fielding inquiries from hedge funds, small and large. And this means that there are thousands of hedge funds around the world, and we could get an inquiry every day. We're getting about 2 a week at this point. And that does not mean that every inquiry will result in an onboarded revenue-generating customer. We will keep everyone updated in terms of our traction in that area. Richard and Levis are going to be laying down mid-tier distribution points. They'll continue with that. And we also are establishing a list of dataset distributors, which we have been doing for quite a while. They're growing exponentially, these dataset distribution points. Data.world, Berkeley and Stanford are also becoming major dataset distribution points. Any academic institution will have a repository of data sets that they make public, so those are also distribution points. Our main distribution point, of course, will be for the financial markets, S&P Global, and for other places, other industries. We are looking at Microsoft as opposed to Kaggle at this point. On the exchanges side, everything is on track there. Kraken is on track. And unfortunately, we won't be able to provide any specific updates. This is because we're in close communication with internals. On the IR, PR, and Marcom side, we have what we are calling a GEM strategy, GEM. That is the name of our primary PR agency and group. We are calling that GEM strategy Operation Golden Goose because it's a gift that keeps on giving. And this is a PR pipeline, a separate PR pipeline. We have several PR pipelines. This will be one of our main PR pipelines. When we work with PR agencies or PR groups, it's not just a matter of them putting together press releases. We don't do that. I put together press releases, and we work closely with other advisors in that area. And when it comes to PR agencies and PR groups, we like to be very creative, and we don't like one-offs. And when we initiate some kind of PR pipeline, we like the next PR to be more powerful than the previous PR. We've established a nice PR base ourselves, and we now have every revenue distribution point, not just serving as a revenue sharing dataset distribution point, but as a PR distribution point. So GEM will be working closely with us, rolling out our story and telling the world how well we are executing. And our story does not just include the financial markets, it includes bioscience and other industries. So this is something that will be ongoing here. And they might just start with Neudata. We're going to see about that. And of course, the closer we get to uplisting means the more value we're going to have when we initiate our PR pipeline, the more value we're going to extract. It's important to tell the world who you are, or to be able to have others, third parties, tell us how well you're executing on your story. But it's also nice not to have your story fall on deaf ears. So we'll be expanding our base continually and relying on outside third parties to do that as well. Next, we have questions from the trader base. You've mentioned several times that an equity investment in Vectorspace AI means ownership of the VXV tokens. In this latest call, you mentioned new investors, hedge funds, etc. Is this deal only an exchange of their cash for the company's token holdings? If not, how is it structured to increase token value? Speaking directly, this is the wrong question to ask. This is not the way you create or have value translated into your trading vehicle. This is short-term thinking. It's similar to cutting the golden goose in half. Value is translated based on real product releases that are valuable and generate revenue, and they're very hard to duplicate. Next question, there is a lot of speculation about an upcoming market crash. How will this affect VXV, and will this create new opportunities? Thanks in advance and keep up the good work. Well, as mentioned, we're looking at a second shoe to drop like many others, and with unemployment on the decline, we see consumer demand also declining here. We're looking at a second wave of a downturn or a second tsunami-like effect. And that would mean a downturn in the traditional market. Right now, we see everything is propped. All these Robinhood traders are propping everything up right now, and that's not healthy. All these momentum stocks that you see being driven up, eventually, that's going to stop. That party's going to end. Musical chairs. Somebody's going to be left without one. And that's when we come in, and that's when we start shorting the market. That's when we start executing on short baskets, thematic baskets you can short. So when the market declines again, which is it's going to happen, despite what JP Morgan said. JP Morgan, by the way, said the Bitcoin was a scam. They're probably propping the market up so they can short right now. They know it's going to decline. So when it does, we'll be ready. As mentioned, we're hedged in a few different ways. We've prepared for this, and one way that you do that is locking in enterprise or institutional revenue as opposed to retail or consumer. However, today there's demand for retail and consumer financial products, so we'll go ahead and service those needs. We're also preparing for a huge upswing in crypto across the board, and that just means when the cash really goes to the sidelines once again, it's going to come back into crypto with a vengeance. We also see U.S. public companies starting to build positions, large positions in BTC, ETH, and we see them building positions in VXV in the future. So it's going to be a bumpy road, I think, for the traditional markets after a couple of months, and eventually there'll be ripple effects to crypto. But crypto is where the value is here. There's no doubt about that. That's a safe haven. Flight to safety will occur into crypto, no doubt. Next question, I want to know more about the token utility and how it's being used by current customers. You've mentioned an API before, but how does it work exactly? Can you give us more details? I'm concerned about the token utility and economics or tokenomics of VXV. I know that some customers don't need to have VXV to pay for the service, and they'll pay for the data sets with fiat or other crypto, which will be used to buy VXV, correct? Isn't this bad for the VXV token? Okay, that was a series of questions. First off, we're not open source, we're proprietary, and that means unless you work for this company, you're not going to know exactly how the technology works. And we're also going to kill the speculation here and now related to people walking around with data sets without using VXV. It doesn't work that way. VXV is used to access data sets. There's no other way about it. So that speculation needs to end, and it ends right here and right now. VXV is used to access data sets. Now, related to the API question, how does it work? Well, we can say a little bit about the API without giving away the proprietary stuff, and that relates to the documentation. First off, our software engineers read the documentation, so you can read the documentation as well. It's publicly available right there. You can see it in our PowerPoints, any of our schematics on our site. We can also talk about the VXV token address. That's a key, an API access point. The VXV token address is like an API key. It's a wallet key that we've established by hashing a wallet address. So it's a wallet, we call it a wallet-enabled API key. This means that developers anywhere in any industry can access data sets through the API, and they pass their wallet address through the API, which doubles as an API key. We check that wallet address and program money. Next question, new data is signed, sealed, and delivered. Finally, does it mean in terms of contract work, or are they going to buy allocate VXV datasets soon? Or it's done already. So first off, the important part about new data is to understand that they are a dataset vendor. They deliver datasets, connect hedge funds to dataset providers. We are unique as a dataset provider to them. No other dataset provider in the history of new data has provided datasets like we provide. So it gives funds a unique edge. They service 75 hedge funds. They are a distribution point of ours that does not require a revenue share. This is why we're particularly interested in them. Bloomberg and S&P Global take 30%, which we have absolutely no problem with, but they are also dataset distribution points. Next question, whatever happened with Microsoft and Amazon? So with Amazon, we are still in contact with them. We have placed our dataset distribution arrangement on ice with them for the following reason. There have been reports that Amazon is lifting technology, stealing it. This is all over the net. This has been one of the top headlines in the Valley, Silicon Valley recently. This is a huge problem for Amazon. They did it with Elasticsearch, by the way. You can look that up as well. We may or may not move forward with them because we may or may not actually need them based on the risk that they represent. So we are going to be talking with them about this. We have it in our plans to bring this subject up with them. It's just not a priority at this point because we've got so many other high-value players. And one of them is Microsoft. And Microsoft is certainly a target of ours in many different ways. We've already engaged with them. We've already signed paperwork with them related to dataset distribution. Our next steps with them included putting them on hold while we lined up our other dataset distribution points. One of the reasons for that is signing agreements. If you sign an agreement with one, it might restrict your access or what you can do with others. Anyway, we've got them all lined up, and we've made sure that anything we've signed does not prevent us from interacting with any other partner on that in our matrix right now. When you look at what Microsoft is doing in terms of Azure Space, this is in harmony with what Lawrence Berkeley National Labs has been doing and with what our space biosciences efforts have included. So we're all in terms of Microsoft. In fact, so far, it's going to be our primary launch point for distributing datasets and the DTK, the Dataset Toolkit, related to life sciences, biosciences, and a few other industries. Our next and last section is strategy. And on the strategy section, I have a few notes here, and one of them relates to investing in theme. One of the edges that we provide would be the ability to invest in micro themes. One theme might be semiconductors or drug compounds. But drug compounds in the context of what? In the context of COVID-19, in the context of cardiovascular disease, DNA repair, particular type of cancer. So we provide micro themes, and these micro themes can be gauged for their performance. They can be back tested. And one of the edges we provide is the ability to enable someone to compare the way their thematic investment is performing to a micro theme or a more specific or an alternative theme that you can generate with our dataset. That's going to be demoed to Quant. And when it comes to what we've learned in the last few weeks, engaged with new data and engaged with a few other hedge funds and customers, related customers, would be the specific legal requirements that we talked about earlier related to insider trading and how we need to protect against that by the way that we fill out what's called a DDQ, a Dataset Due Diligence Questionnaire. And we've been advised by New Data's Council and a few others that the way that we fill this due diligence questionnaire out will not only determine how much revenue we generate, but will also determine how much risk we might incur to a customer, or how much a customer might value us, or how we might be placed up the priority queue in terms of high throughput dataset testing. These intricacies relate to data provenance, and this is something we address when it comes to data lineage, data governance, and being able to create hashes of hashes connected to datasets, immutable. Also mentioned, we have a new internal product roadmap, so we'll continue to work that out. And part of our product roadmap, we're going to leave open a section that may address a huge issue that we see upcoming here in the future related to the unemployment rate. And as mentioned, the U.S. lost over 60 million jobs. With this headline the headline mentioned previously, now robots, tech, and artificial intelligence will take millions more. Well, what we see are global unemployment rates being solved by employing people in the AI industry. We see a wave of people and data sets and AI and machine learning. All of these unemployed people that may not know anything about software can be used like anyone at Amazon Turk, or anyone labeling data sets, or anyone that needs to make an extra buck curating data sets, for example. There are lots of other things that can be done when it comes to data engineering, data sets, data transformation, curation, labeling, all kinds of things that require humans in the loop. And this could be the way that unemployment is solved a bit in the future, in the very near future. So we're keeping a close eye on this and ready to build tools for when this happens. This has been a pre-recorded call. If you have any questions, feel free to post them online. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining.